And with that out of the way, we get another little ammunition depot. Which is always nice, because you could always use more ammo. I don't believe there is a secret right here, so we could probably move on with that in mind. Now this room! Oh my god, this room. Newton's Nightmare. Now this is something really special. Mayans worked a lot building this one. Here we can see how the world looks from the eyes of an ordinary fly, since the gravity is really weird and obviously we can walk on the ceiling. But remember, we are not the only ones with these new abilities. And if you really couldn't figure that out from what the Trixa has just said, this room is so bizarre. So starting off, you're just going to be fighting Marsh-Hoppers. I'm going to be making use of the chainsaw right here because I'm just going to be standing in this one area, trying to kill Marsh-Hoppers that get relatively close to me. But yeah, basically the way this room works, it's actually a lot different in Serious Sam HD because bear in mind, the new Serious engine could not handle the odd gravity physics that the original games had. So yeah, they kind of had to modify some of the rooms to make sure they fit well with what they saw. For this room, they replace this room with like a giant moving contraption of like, it's difficult to describe what exactly that contraption is, but it's basically a series of blocks that you have to jump over, and the gravitational field that was completely different in this game is non-existent in the HD remake, but in this game, it's completely tubular, and you can just basically walk all along this room, except on the parallel walls. So that's kind of interesting if you want to get technical about things. These bowls can be a little bit problematic once they throw them at you, because they can bounce you around the room pretty easily. I want to be sure to take care of the Marsh-Hoppers first and foremost before I take care of the bowls. And then it starts throwing some biomechs at you. I'm going to use the sniper rifle on them. And then it starts throwing Zorgs at you, which is not good at all. You want to be very careful around the Zorgs, and especially the major biomechs. Once it throws the major biomechs at you, you probably want to prioritize those first and foremost. And you still want to be extremely careful around the Zorgs. Because as we all know, the Zorgs and this room, especially considering the fact that your crosshair is constantly being screwed up by where you move, you can't exactly move your crosshair all over the place, and in turn, that causes a couple of problems. And then it spawns two more biomechs at the same time. I'm going to be using the cannon. I'm going to try and aim this cannonball just right, and I was successful in my mission. I think that's all the biomechs this room has to throw at you. In the end, it really is just more of these little red dudes. Zorgs. I'm starting to forget their names already, which is probably a good sign, because I probably don't want to be hearing about stupid Zorgs in the end after this. Oh boy. So yeah, that was this odd gravitational room. Like I said, in Serious Sam HD it's completely different. Another thing in Serious Sam HD that's completely different is this room. This room is entirely omitted from Serious Sam HD. It's replaced by, it's replaced by this pit, and there's a bouncer in the middle, and once you jump on that bouncer, it sends you flying upwards to another platform with all these clear skeletons on it. Nothing odd in terms of gravity, it's just sort of kind of a pointless room in my opinion. But there is also a secret right there that involves jumping on the bouncer, so that's kind of neat. I'm not really going to get into too much detail over that, but all I can say is that there is another secret right there that they added into the HD version of the game. Either way, once you go through either of those rooms, you enter this room, which happens to have two serious bombs, and that is always nice. I'm going to destroy this head because I feel like it. And I need to take a drink too, because I have worn myself out. Alright, so for the next area right here, before you leave this room, you actually want to go ahead and destroy all these lamps within these rooms. Because if you destroy all these lamps, that will reveal secret ammunition. However, walking forward here will also spawn a couple of nasty enemies. Such as this guy, which I decided to run forward to immediately so that way I can deal with him first and foremost. And there's also a couple of Zorgs. But then again, those aren't too threatening. They just like to hide in these little corridors, and you could probably forget about them entirely if you really feel like it. But this is the secret ammo we were talking about, which is just more cannonballs. And here we come to a nice open-ended area, the exit. Sam, you won't believe your eyes, we are very close to the Sun Pyramid now. This whole underground complex took us further than I expected, almost like a shortcut. We are near the portal that will help us continue our quest. When we enter the Sun Pyramid, you'll need to put the crystal skull on a pedestal to activate the portal. And this room is just a giant arena, which is mostly filled with biomechanoids. And those biomechanoids are for the most part, just going to be minor ones. So I'm going to make good use out of the sniper rifle, because the sniper rifle deals well with these little blue guys. Now eventually it's going to spawn the red robots, and there's only a couple of them, but you do want to keep an ear out for the sounds they make, because they can be pretty bloody nasty. So we're just gonna deal with these guys first. Nice little sniping minigame if you like sniping. All you have to do is just keep on the move and make sure the enemies don't get too close, like this guy for instance. I totally did not hear him actually enter the arena, but he's there. You might want to deal with him first before taking care of all these other biomechanoids. And then it spawns a guy behind you. That kills you. Yes. Now, getting hit by these lasers really shouldn't be too much of a concern. You just gotta keep strafing in areas where they wouldn't be able to hit you. But again, you do want to keep an ear out for the rocket dudes, because if you know anything about Serious Sam, the rocket dudes deal absurd amounts of damage. I think it's like after 3 red biomechs appear, eventually it throws in maybe 1 or 2 bolts. No, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's 4 biomechs. Huh? What? Okay, I could have sworn I just saw a red dude right over there, but then he teleported to the other side for some reason. Maybe he entered the I know there's a I think there's a teleporter here that gets you to a secret, and maybe that teleporter just happened to move that red biomech, which was kinda entertaining, I'll have to admit. But we shall check that out in due time. For now, we're just going to shoot a couple more blue robots. And there we go, here's the bolts I was talking about. And it also spawns a couple of reptiloid demons, so I'm going to be using the cannon on them. It spawns 3 of them in total, 1 guy behind you, 1 guy to the left, and of course 1 guy to the right. And that's about the gist of it of this room. I kind of figured that it would spawn a lot more enemies, but no, I guess not. Interesting thing about the Sun Pyramid up there is that in multiplayer, if you jump up there, I discovered that the Sun Pyramid is actually floating a few feet off of the ground, and you can actually run straight underneath it, which is kind of interesting. Maybe I'll show it off at some point, just to show off with the mini things in Serious Sam that are kind of weird. Alright, so we do have a couple of secrets up here. First of all, I believe walking this way will take you to a teleporter. This must be the thing that teleported that biomechanoid. And this will teleport you up here to get what is likely known as Secret Rocket Festival gear. Once you pick that up, run towards this heart immediately. And this should activate the Secret Rocket Festival, which is a bunch of biomechs. And yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's a giant rocket festival. And obviously you want that serious damage power-up, because serious damage power-ups are always nice. And then you can go ahead and pick up this health power-up. And we're actually coming close to the end of the level, and where we will meet our first boss of the game. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. Bad news. Now is a good time to tell you the bad news. The portal is guarded! It's guarded by none other than the great Mayan wind god Kukulkan. Kukulkan is not that bad, but he seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he'll do anything to stop us from reaching the portal. Of course, you can expect mental forces to join the battle, but I don't know how Kukulkan will react to their presence. Fortunately, this should be nothing that a modern rocket launcher can't handle. The way this boss works is that you can really only kill him with explosives and lasers. That's pretty much how things are going to work. You definitely want to be using the cannon, and since they're going to be spawning a bunch of mental enemies at the same time, you want to be using the series bombs as well. So I will be doing just that, and I spilled a bit of water on my keyboard, which might cause it to malfunction, hopefully not. Okay, I think we're ready. Now, jumping down here, there are actually a couple of spike traps that you want to avoid on the slide. First, there's that one, and then you move to the left, and then there are 2 more that appear. Oh, maybe just 1 more. Forget it, I am wrong. It's just two of those spike traps, and you want to avoid those as much as possible. But here we get a nice little cutscene. Now, one interesting note about this cutscene after Sam places the crystal skull on the giant hands right there. This is probably the longest boss introductory cutscene of the game. Not really sure why, they just kind of felt like they had to draw it out for just a little bit. And even though this doesn't make sense, the crystal skull does not fall when it's flipped upside down alongside that little pedestal. But you know what, I don't care, I'm just overanalyzing things.
My flaming fists of fury will destroy you, fiend! Ha ha ha! God, who writes this stuff?
And this is Kukulkan. So yeah, it's the first boss of the game. The strategy for this, just hit him with a bunch of cannonballs. Occasionally he'll send out these little wind storms. And those can screw up where it is you're walking, so you might want to be careful. Or in this case, running, because we're going to be doing a lot of running in this room. I'm going to try and save these power-ups as much as possible, and by that I mean use them to the best of my advantage before I have to go pick up another one. And as you can see, they're spawning a bunch of enemies, and as we continue to damage Kukulkan here, he grows a lot bigger and a bit more fearsome. Now, once we start getting overwhelmed by enemies, I'm definitely going to be picking up, I'm definitely going to be using a Series Bomb, because the Series Bombs are extremely handy for clearing out massive spam from all of these enemies surrounding you. You want to be wary of the moles. The moles probably are the biggest threat. Well, that is for the time being, and then eventually it's going to be sending out things that are much far more nasty. You can see I'm getting hit by a windstorm, so I'm going to use a Series Bomb just to clear things out. After we do that, we're going to be picked up by another windstorm. Don't worry, if you run out of ammo, there's going to be a bunch of ammunition backpacks, and there's also going to be a couple more of these speed power-ups. Now here you can see, they're starting to spawn a couple more nasty enemies, and the song by Undercoat is playing in the background, which is pretty neat. Pick up the Serious Speed power-up, continue damaging Kukulkan here, use another Serious Bomb, rinse and repeat this process as I get smashed into a wall. Lovely! Although thankfully I didn't take any damage from that, I'm just gonna get flown around a bit more, which is not something that's on my agenda, but you know what, I'm not gonna argue with this boss. As long as we defeat him, he'll let us pass, and that's always nice. And as you can see, he's pretty much reached his full potential right here. Be careful when you do shoot projectiles into his windstorms, because he will actually, the windstorms will actually move your projectiles around, especially cannonballs.
You may be big, but I'm serious.
He may be big, but we're serious, so everything is fine. Just clear out these enemies right here, then the music will stop playing, and then we can leave this nasty place. And as you can see, we're actually being shot by a couple of annoying enemies up top, and those will be those guys, which spawn in pretty late for some odd reason. Not really sure why that is, but yeah, they appear up there. Didn't really mean to do that. I kind of wanted to continue zooming in on that enemy right there. Well, once again, just a couple of sniper rifle bullets should take care of them. I don't know if you can fire at them. I don't know if you can fire a cannonball at them. I'm not sure if it would reach them before touching any other surface and therefore doing less damage. But I guess it doesn't really matter in the end, because Kukulkan is defeated. And here he is, Kukulkan the Wind God. And he's actually a pretty good god, because once we defeat him, then he allows us to go through the portal. So he's not actually dead, he's just going to pretty much ignore us for the time being. And what the hell are you doing here? The show's over, mate. Just leave. I have more important, serious business to attend to, like picking up this armor and this Serious Speed power-up, because like with other power-ups, you can carry power-ups through time errors and levels. So in this case, we're just gonna pick this up and jump into the portal. And that was the pit. We picked up all the secrets, and that was pretty nice. And now we can move on to the second era of the game, which is the Persian era. Ziggurat! Sam, my man. Seems like we went even further in time. Here's some brief information about this place. Ziggurat is a temple tower of the ancient Assyrians and Babylonians, having the form of a terraced pyramid. It is old, it is ancient and old, and it is full of traps, unfortunately. You must find a way to exit that building, alive, of course. My historical data tells me that there is a large open terrain around Ziggurat with some houses and a road to Persepolis, the biggest city of the old Babylonian civilization. At the end of the city lies the famous Tower of Babel, our next destination. According to the spaceship database, that is where the Babylonians hid their portal. You will notice that we have no weapons except your basic ones. Obviously, the portal works only for living beings and some small objects. Bad luck. Whatever, there is no time to lose. Head onwards to Persepolis. Now, technically, Matrixa says you can only carry your basic weapons through, but you can also carry your serious bombs through for some reason. I'm not really sure why that is, but hey, the game allows you to do that. So the next time we play, we will try to exit through this terrible, dastardly ziggurat. So until then, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day or evening, and I guess I will see you in the next video. Bye.